Hi again. Edmond C. Gruss, the Jehovah's Witnesses and Prophetic Speculation. This is the 11th part of our examination of his chapter, Is Time Running Out for the Witnesses? The Illusion of Urgency. And this specifically is on the Adam and Eve gap. You might call it the Watchtower gap theory. According to Watchtower Publications, the witness Vice President F.W. Franz, and witness Vice President F.W. Franz, the long-awaited Battle of Armageddon and the peaceful reign of Jesus Christ are delayed only by the time interval between Adam and Eve's creation. According to witness materials, how long was this interval? Let us examine and compare witness publications in answer to the question. The Watchtower of October 1, 1975, in agreement with Mr. Franz's speech at the sports arena in Los Angeles in early 1975, stated, quote, "It, that is the Bible, shows a time lapse between the creation of Adam and that of his wife Eve. During that time, God had Adam name the animals. Whether that period amounted to weeks or months or years, we do not know." End of quote. Compare this speculation with what was stated in the Watchtower of August 15, 1968. Quote, "After his creation, Adam lived some time during the sixth day, and yet the end of that sixth creative day could end within the same Gregorian calendar year of Adam's creation. It may involve only a difference of weeks or months, not years." End of quote. This second and earlier statement is in agreement with what had been published and stated by the Society leadership for years. Was there anything else stated or published that would cause witnesses to conclude that the end of the sixth creative day paralleled the beginning of the seventh day, or that the time interval was minimal, at the most less than a year? The answer is yes. In the report on the God's Sons of Liberty district assemblies, which were held in 1966, the Watchtower commented on their response to the release of the new book, Life Everlasting in Freedom of the Sons of God. Here's the quote. "Immediately its contents were examined. It did not take the brothers very long to find the chart beginning on page 31, showing that 6,000 years of man's existence end in 1975. Discussion of 1975 overshadowed about everything else. The new book compels us to realize that Armageddon is, in fact, very close indeed," said one conventioner. "Surely it was one of the outstanding blessings to be carried home." That is from the assembly. That's the end of the direct quote. And Gruss says, why had 1975 become so important in 1966 when a chronology which agreed with it had already been published in 1963 in All Scripture is Inspired of God and Beneficial? Why had the 1963 publication not stirred the same response? Because this chronology was accompanied with this statement: "It does no good to use Bible chronology for speculating on dates that are still future in the stream of time." That is All Scripture is Inspired, page 286, by the way. Gruss goes on, the significance of the 1966 publication was that chronology was used for speculation on dates that are future in the stream of time. The stress in Life Everlasting and Freedom of the Sons of God was that man's creation and the end of the sixth day were probably parallel to the beginning of the seventh. This book stated, and here's a direct quote again, "According to this trustworthy Bible chronology, 6,000 years from man's creation will end in 1975, and the seventh period of 1,000 years of human history will begin in the fall of 1975 CE. And again, how appropriate it would be for Jehovah God to make of this coming seventh period of 1,000 years a Sabbath period of rest and release. It would not be by mere chance or accident, but would be according to the loving purpose of Jehovah God for the reign of Jesus Christ, the Lord of the Sabbath, to run parallel with the seventh millennium of man's existence." That's from Life Everlasting, pages 29 and 30. It is obvious that in this statement there is no view of a time interval of years between Adam and Eve's creation. While the report on the Baltimore Assembly mentions that Mr. Franz cautioned the brethren, quote, "Don't any of you be specific in saying anything that is going to happen between now and 1975. end of quote. It was Mr. Franz himself, as the same report stated, who, quote, went into some length showing the feasibility of the date 4026 BC as being the beginning of God's rest day, end of quote. This is the same date assigned to Adam and Eve's creation. The new emphasis of the 1966 book on the year 1975 is clearly reiterated in the Awake of October 8, 1966. Quote, does God's rest day parallel the time man has been on earth since his creation? Apparently so. From the most reliable investigations of Bible chronology, harmonizing with many accepted dates of secular history, we find that Adam was created in the autumn of the year 4026 BC. Sometime in that same year, Eve could well have been created, directly after which God's rest day commenced. In what year, then, would the first 6,000 years of man's existence and also the first 6,000 years of God's rest day come to an end? The year 1975, end of quote. More next time. I'll put in a link to Genesis. The genealogies of Genesis are a real problem from the standpoint of this chronology that Fred Franz keeps holding up. For one thing, it's the Genesis 5 and 10 chronology that you're dependent on to establish any date prior to Moses, let's say. And then there's the other problem, which is the 607 date for the fall of Jerusalem. All of this would mess up all of these calculations, but at that time we were not thinking about the potential mess-ups. We were thinking about the date. It was very personal to us all back then. And I know witnesses who left because of the date. One of them was a close friend who I had helped to bring into the society, who said, we can't rely on them. They're irresponsible interpreters of the Bible. So the link I'll put on the screen is to a video we did on the Genesis genealogies and the Watchtower problems that attach to those genealogies and their understanding of them. See you next time.